Okay, Mark, what did you expect from the review?
Well, I was a bit nervous at first, even me, a very experienced solution-focused facilitator, but to actually show your work to other people in detail, and they're going to pore over it and look very closely at it, is a bit nerve-wracking. And it's perhaps the same as a musician, you performing for your peers is always the toughest gig. And this felt as if it might be a little bit the same as that. But actually, it turned out to be an extremely valuable learning experience for me, and I hope for the reviewers as well.
Can you just tell us a little bit more about that experience?
So I assembled the documentation about a 2-day workshop that I'd run. It was a combination of facilitation with a little bit of teaching SF around the edges of that. I already had quite a lot of the documentation there, got some feedback from the customers, put it all together, and even just assembling the package documentation had me reflecting and thinking on how did it go, how did I handle it, which bits was I particularly pleased with, and so on, which bits might I have done a bit differently. And so when it actually got to the discussion with the reviewers about that, I already felt primed, but then they came up with very interesting questions, particularly about the pieces before the workshop itself, the commissioning, how did I negotiate what the task was, what I was supposed to do, how did we set it up, and also the after the workshop piece, the follow-up, the evaluation, the next steps, and so on. And I found particularly helpful in this review process was setting the workshop in the bigger context of the before and the after. And so for me that was a great learning experience. And having these two experienced solution-focused practitioners going through it with me, kind of being on my side of course, but also asking these questions about how come it was like that and what was that about, was a really excellent reflection, the kind of experience I don't get very often, and was very grateful for that.
What would you say to others thinking about doing this review?
I'd say absolutely go for it. It's a fantastic learning experience. It feels daunting, and that's okay, but it's not. A tip I would give is to think about which piece of work you're going to use before you do the piece of work, so you can be capturing the documentation and your thoughts and your reflections as you go along through the work, which will make afterwards putting the package together much easier. The other thing I would suggest is do get in touch with your review coordinator in whatever language you're working. Before you do this, have a quick chat, make sure that it's going to be a suitable piece of work. They may have some advice and guidance for you in how to go about doing the capturing and what will be required. So kind of put your hand up early on. It's not binding or obligatory or anything, to put your hand up and say, I'm thinking of doing this. Have a chat with your review coordinator and then go for it. And it's the most amazing experience. I thoroughly recommend it.
Mark, thank you very much indeed.